Hello and welcome. My name is Steve Carter. I'm a local Las Vegas native / real estate agent here, and I wanted to go over probably what you're looking for. What are the pros and cons of living in Las Vegas? So let's get to it. So one of the pros is that this area, Las Vegas, is kind of a giant mecca for outdoors. If you're into rock climbing, which I know a ton of you are, this is an amazing spot that you can do year round because we don't really get a ton of snow. When we do, it's kind of gone. So a lot of visitors, tourists, big adventurous will actually choose Las Vegas because not only do we have a lot of really close parks like Valley of Fire State Park, 45 minutes from Las Vegas, or Red Rock Canyon Loop, like 10 minutes from my house. I live in Spring Valley on the west side. There's a lot of options for close national parks and state parks from Las Vegas. Some of them being Zion, which is located in southern Utah. It's only three hours right around there. Bryce Canyon, what's the other one? Capitol Reef. I did tangent. I did a killer motorcycle trip up there through Zion, Bryce Canyon, Capitol Reef, just a weekend, probably 4 years ago, and it was freaking epic. And it was just a weekend. So that's like one of those reasons why Las Vegas is so awesome. Another pro to living in Las Vegas is our airport. That doesn't sound like that cool of a thing, like, oh, you guys got a good airport, but like McCarran is awesome. It's very large. It has 3 terminals, one kind of focusing more on international. But I'm talking about our airport because it's really easy to get inexpensive flights everywhere, pretty much. So a lot of, I don't know if the casinos help sponsor, but somehow everyone wants to go to Vegas. And so because of that, we get good discounts to go other places. That being said, if you ever wanted a real travel hack, go down to the terminal, buy your ticket. If you're buying one of those cheapo flights like Spirit or Allegiant, if you actually go to the counter and purchase your ticket in person, you can still do it in advance. You don't have to do it like the day of. You get a decent discount. I did another motorcycle trip. Stop talking about motorcycle trips, Steve, right? But I did another one to Seattle a couple years ago as well. I think online it was like $150, and I ended up scoring it for like $80 round trip just by doing it in person. I don't feel like I mentioned enough of the parks that are really close by, so I just gathered up a list because I was kind of having like one of those moments. So anyways, Death Valley, which I've been a ton of times, is on that list. Grand Canyon's there. You can go to Joshua Tree really quickly. What else do we got? Great Basin National Park, Sequoia National Park, and Glen Canyon National Recreation Area. Those are all relatively close escapes, and Vegas is a good hub for that. Now we have access to world-class cuisine. Gordon Ramsay, Guy Fieri. I know you guys love Guy Fieri. Just lots of really good, very well-known chefs. If they've got a place and they're hot, they're probably going to have one here in Vegas. Not to mention if a chain or some pop-up restaurant was really successful in New York or LA, I guarantee in a couple of years it'll probably make its way over here. For all of you white trash foodies, I'm definitely one of those. We've got Chick-fil-A and In-N-Out, so if you've been kind of hunting to find a place that has that, we've got one here. Pretty awesome. Lines go relatively quick. It's kind of crazy how fast those lines go. And then for the foodies, we've got an amazing Chinatown. I'm not trying to say you have to like Asian cuisine to be a foodie, but they've got the most exotic and diverse food categories and options that I've ever seen. And it's been really cool to kind of see the progression of Chinatown change over the last 5-6 years. So if you're really considering Las Vegas, you know for sure that there's no state income tax, which means your money goes a lot further. You don't got to pay the tax man twice. We do just have the federal income tax. And it's a really nice relief for a lot of my clients that are moving from states like New York and California, because Las Vegas was voted the best city for taco lovers by Apartments Guide about a year ago. We have a ton of great taco joints in town. Some of my favorites are Tacos El Gordo, Taco y Taco, Los Taco, Frijoles. If those names do not mean anything to you, they will. come, let's go get tacos together. It's fantastic. That's what we do that's actually like the Las Vegas pastime, is just going to different taco places. Traffic, parking, distance. One of the pros is that, back to where I said Vegas is kind of like that big city and the small town vibe, you can get anywhere fairly quickly. So you can go from one end of the city to the other right around 45 minutes. And minutes is key because we kind of all tell time here in Las Vegas in minutes. We don't really say miles because it's really not that large of a distance. So if you lived in Summerlin, say you lived in Paseos in Summerlin, really far west, you can still get to the airport in 18 minutes. It's kind of crazy. I live in the Southwest, and because of the 215, I can get to the airport in 15 minutes. It's nuts, right? Almost everywhere is roughly 15 to 30 minutes, which really isn't that bad if you're coming from a city maybe where you had to commute for hours on end just to get to work or to get to a ball game or something like that. The cost of living in Las Vegas is not that bad. You kind of get that big city vibe, all the accoutrements, if you want to call them that, all the big city vibes. You get all the nice transportation, you get convenience, every chain, restaurant, grocery store, that's all here. But at a cost that's like a fraction of San Diego, a fraction of San Francisco, Seattle, New York. It is creeping up. It is going up every month, but right now it's still fairly inexpensive. I think the median house price right now, it's been changing monthly. I think that's right around $340, $325. You can still get like a townhouse for just under $200,000 depending on the age, and depending on where you want to live. If you're in Summerlin trying to get a 1,500 square foot house over there, you're pushing the 370 mark. But it's still fairly inexpensive compared to other areas. It's a 24-hour town, right? During COVID, it's been a little different. Right now, we are in April of 2021 when I'm making this video, so things are starting to open up a lot more. But I mean, you can still get to grocery stores super late, like CVS and Walgreens. Those are still open 24 hours, and there are some grocery stores, but we kind of cater towards the people that work odd hours. And so, especially in the summer when it is super hot, like, oh great, you can do your grocery shopping when it's a little cooler, which is in the early mornings or the evenings. So we are a 24-hour city. You don't have to do anything all that time, but at least you have the options. I lived in Salt Lake for a hot minute in my early 20s, and it just was so weird to me that everything closed at 9. Like, where's all the pizza places and Chinese food places that stay open till whenever, just for your late night cravings? Another pro is the weather. We have amazing weather here in Las Vegas most of the year. So right now it's like 70 degrees outside. It's glorious. Enjoy it while it's here because it's fantastic. And it's kind of dependable. You can kind of have an idea what it's going to be. A couple weeks ago, you were kind of in that phase of bring a jacket for the morning, and by the evening, you'll be just wearing a sweater. Bring a jacket in the morning? No. A couple weeks ago, we were actually in that phase where you would bring a jacket for the evening, and that was about it. Now it's t-shirt weather all the way, getting ready for just some straight pool season. It's gonna be fantastic. Okay, for the most part, this goes with the weather as well. We don't really have a ton of bugs. We do have ants and cockroaches and stuff like that. But I think that has to do with our drier climate. We don't really get mosquitoes. I've been in a couple humid places for a minute that have mosquitoes, and they love my blood way too much for me to be there. So I can proudly say I'm mosquito free. So, okay, now let's get to the cons list, because you can't have everything, right? So the big one, and I'm sure you already know this if you're even considering moving to Las Vegas, would be summer. The crazy heat, 115 degree heat. And I know people say, it's dry heat. It's still really hot. But you get to go inside a lot. Pool feels so much better when it's really hot. That's true. Like, I get kind of prudish, I would say, where I'll be swimming in my in-laws and it's maybe the sun's not directly out. You get out of the pool and it's a little chilly because of a breeze. I say a little chilly, maybe it cooled down 10 degrees with the breeze, and you're just like, this is weird. I just want it hot for when you're in the pool. But that can be a giant con. Your air conditioning bill is gonna go up unless you're just not human and you just can deal with it. But I think you could probably die. There's maybe like a couple places in town that don't have AC. So you need AC, and that's the con. It's expensive. It will go up a little bit. Although, and I'm not trying to con the con, but NV Energy does make like a constant payment program where you can have the same rate monthly. So if you wanted to have more stability and consistency, you can do something like that. Schools, that might be a con for you. Did you know Nevada, I'm sure you knew this already, but Nevada actually ranked 35th in academic achievement according to what website? The Nevadan Independent. That's not that great. I'm a product of the schools here in Las Vegas. I went to Bonanza High School and public school through my whole life, but there are a lot of other good options. I mean, I feel like I turned out okay, but maybe you don't think I turned out okay. So you can go to public schools, you go to private schools, charter schools. There's a lot of different options. So even if you don't live in an area that might be zoned for the most prestigious public school, you have options to get your kid in some really good education. You might also just consider thinking it as a cost. Maybe you'll have to just subsidize their education one way or another. Con would be gambling. If you find yourself looking at Gamblers Anonymous online, this is probably not the place for you, unfortunately. Maybe come visit every now and then, but don't call Las Vegas home. Con could be the lack of greenery. If you're coming from North Carolina or another state that just has an insane amount of green, you're in for a rude awakening. We are a desert. That means tan, sandy, earth-colored, red, not the green, not a ton of trees. Unless you're in some of these master plan communities, that can kind of help mitigate it a little bit. So if you're in Inspirata, if you're in Anthem, if you're in Summerlin, you can see the abundance of trees and greenery. Also, don't forget, if you're kind of really trying to recreate that vibe, some of the vintage areas, which I love, watch Vegas Streets episode 2, I'll link it right here. That has some of the most amazing large trees. You would think you're in Carlsbad or something like that in California. But yeah, that's still a con though, you know, not as beautiful green, but we do have a lot of mountains and a lot of desert. Some people like desert. I like desert. Another con is Vegas can be very transient. That being, a lot of times people won't stay here that long. Maybe they'll try it out for a little bit and then go. Maybe they'll come for the bartending gig and then go back to their home because their chick was pregnant. I don't know why I just said that, but it can be a transient city, and people a lot of times will work odd hours, which might make meeting your neighbors a little harder if they're just always gone while you're awake, or vice versa. It can also be kind of hard to maybe get into that clique because, like, I'm from here. I really haven't branched out a ton as far as friends go, high school, college, all that. There are ways to get around that though. Just join some Facebook groups, go to these community events, be a part of your community, and I think you can probably get away with it. But I do hear that a lot. It's not the easiest place to make friends. But I'm here. Another con is there are certain areas in town where there are scorpion infestations. I don't know if they typically came from some of the materials that came in, but Green Valley is one of those that's really known for having a high concentration of scorpions. They love palm trees. So anywhere where there's a ton of palm trees, be careful. If you are allergic to them or it's a real big concern for you, I know some people trying to relocate here do have issues with that. Just make sure you get a good inspector to go out there for pest inspection and just pay the extra for it because that can be hard to eradicate. I know you have to do the black light and kind of do it by hand for the most part. Okay, our public transportation sucks. That's why everyone has to really have a car. You have to, it's not a commuting city as far as public transportation. If you lived close to downtown, it could possibly be an option for you. I just don't feel like it's dependable enough or enough routes. And you will see giant double-decker buses or 2-bus length buses cruising around the city with maybe 2-3 people on there. So if you did want to use the bus, I bet you would feel very spacious because there's no one in it. So I do feel like for the most part, if you're trying to get anywhere and you don't have a car, you're probably going to be Ubering or using Lyft, which can get kind of expensive. So you'll probably have to get a car. Okay, we're not a full sports city. We are getting there, but if you were into all of the major league sports from your hometown, wanting to come here to Las Vegas, we're getting there, but we're just not quite there yet. We do have an amazing AAA baseball team, the Aviators, which have a state-of-the-art stadium, which is gorgeous up there in downtown Summerlin. We have an NHL team, the Golden Knights. We also have whatever that's called with the Silver Knights up in Henderson, which is kind of cool. But we just need to get some baseball and some basketball. And we have the Las Vegas Raiders, which is awesome. So if that's kind of what's holding you back, that could be a big con. For me, I grew up watching Comedy Central and car shows, like the garage mechanic car shows all the time. So I don't really care, but it's cool. I'd go to Vegas Golden Knights game. If you want to take me to a sports game to convert me, feel free. Let's do it. We'll get some hot dogs and whatever they do at sports games. Con is you have to increase your budget monthly for sunscreen, lip balm, and agua fresca, no, just water. You will get dehydrated. It's weird, once it gets really hot, you do find yourself, this goes back to that, but you do find yourself getting headaches, so just make sure you stay hydrated. You're gonna probably have to use chapstick, and yeah, sunblock. If you have any sort of really light skin, I got tons of freckles, you know, but sunblock it up. I should put stock in sunblock. So that's just a quick list of some pros and cons of living in Las Vegas. I hope that helps just from like a local's perspective to kind of get an idea. There are a lot more, including, I didn't even talk about all the beaches you could get to within 4 or 5 hours, like San Diego, Del Mar. I was just in Oceanside last weekend. I mean, like anything you want as far as like Southern California, it's right at your fingertips if you're down for a 4 5 hour drive, or like a 1 hour flight. So, but if you found any value in this, please share it, like, subscribe. I'm trying to get my message out there, and I love helping and hearing from all of you guys that follow me on YouTube and Instagram. Thank you so much. And if you have any videos you're really interested in seeing, maybe a specific community tour, let me know. Leave it down in the comments down below, and thanks for watching. Also, if you want to get a hold of me because you're trying to relocate to Las Vegas, feel free to shoot me a text, give me a call, or my email. I'll leave all that info down below. Thanks.